and that 2% was set aside for what the city gave to the renovation of Jeld-Wen Field. There's a couple people in the crowd that I'd just like to recognize before we start. Merritt Paulson is here, and Karen Brooks from the mayor's office is somewhere in the crowd right there. I want to thank the selection committee. When we start projects, we always appoint selection committees that represent a cross-section of people that are living near the project or working at the site of the project. So the selection committee for this project was Mike Gullub. Mike is the COO of the Portland Timbers, and he's also on the Regional Arts and Culture Council board. And he'll be speaking shortly. Dave Logston is with the City of Portland, and he is the spectator facilities manager with the city. Linda Cameron, an architect who lives in the Goose Hollow neighborhood. Cherie Ledoux represents the Timbers Army. Scott Mazaragos, an artist who was unable to be here right at this moment. And Sol Nealman, an extreme sports photographer. Weird sports photographer. Get it right. Was the final committee member. So the committee set up goals for the project, and they were seeking an artist who would create work that would be iconic for the site and for the neighborhood. They wanted the artwork to capture the imaginations of all ages, be able to compete with the character of a sports-oriented site, and they wanted it to create a meeting place or an anchor in the plaza. I think this piece has done a pretty good job at meeting those goals. And finally, they wanted an artwork that was not only about the sports activities at the site, but also about the other events and activities that have been happening in the surrounding neighborhood. So Ron, when the artist talks, he will tell you the stories behind some of these objects that you'll find here. There were 168 applications from around the country for this project, and Ron was selected unanimously by the committee. So before I introduce Ron, I want to ask Mike Gullub to come up here and just say a few words on behalf of the Timbers.
Thanks, Peggy. Welcome on behalf of Merritt and the club. Thanks for coming out today. When we undertook the whole stadium renovation, we wanted to sort of strike a balance between the past, which is the older stadium, which was originally built in '26, and the new and the modern. And when we put together our organization, our club, we also wanted to acknowledge the great history that soccer has had in this city, but also build a club that's right for modern day Major League Soccer. And I think in Ron's piece, he captures that essence. He embodies the past so remarkably well, but speaks to our exciting present day and our future. And it was a pleasure serving on the committee with my colleagues on the committee. And when we met Ron, we knew that Ron would get us. And the time he spent getting to know Portland and archiving these artifacts, we knew that he would really build something that would truly represent the city, the neighborhood, and the team. So thank you, Ron. And I think, Peggy, you want to introduce Ron?
Thanks, Mike. So Ron Barron, who is based in Williamsburg, New York, is known for creating sculptures that take everyday objects that are gathered from various sources. He describes his creative process as similar to a cultural archaeologist, culling an array of used artifacts that reflect personal identity and the society that produced them. I'm told that his studio in Brooklyn looks a lot like a thrift store. So while looking for objects for this sculpture, Ron spent the better part of a day in various shops in Selwood. And some of the items that he found there are found in this sculpture. He's described the sculpture as a metaphoric time capsule inspired by local history. Ron's received awards and fellowships from the New York State Foundation for the Arts, the Mid-Atlantic National Endowment for the Arts, the Paula Krasner Foundation, and a Lila Wallace Monet Estate Gavarni residency. He's exhibited his work as well at the Brooklyn Museum of Art, at the Wexner Museum in Germany, at the Sculpture Center, and at Exit Art in New York. He's completed permanent installations in San Jose, Orlando, Indianapolis Airport, Chicago, the ESPN building, the Zone in New York, the Brooklyn Public Library, the Autzen Football Stadium in Eugene, and most recently he was in Anchorage, Alaska, probably less than a month ago. And now he's currently working on a project in Florida. You know, someone, or probably a lot of people, have noted that it's not easy to maintain an art career. And it just takes a lot of hard work, dedication, and a lot of determination. And all those descriptors have been used in describing Ron's career as an artist coming out of graduate school and meeting with such success in public art across the country, from Florida to Alaska. It's a pretty good range. So I've asked Ron to give us a glimpse into his creative process for this project. I think you'd all be interested in learning, where did this log round come from? Was it really that size when he got it? And so he'll share some information on how that was made and some stories behind the objects themselves. So, Ron Barrett.
Wow, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to see everybody here today. You know, basically, Mike, you stole my entire talk, so I'm not sure what else I have to say. But let me see if I can add a few things onto some of the things that Mike and Peggy said earlier today. First of all, I also want to just do some thanks and some shout outs here, because you know, there's just been so many people involved in the creation of this artwork behind me, particularly Peggy. I have to say a big thank you to her, and to also to Keith over at the RAC. Timbers franchise people, Mayor Paulson, where is he? Yeah, Ken Puckett, who's here as well, I believe, somewhere, right? There you are, Ken, yeah. And Mike, and several people also from the Timbers Army as well that contacted me and gave me some feedback and taught me a little bit more about the Timbers and about the stadium as well. Also, I want to give a particular thanks to Dave Elkin from Greenworks, who is involved in the green wall that you see here that's just started, the planting, and eventually what's going to happen is there's going to be a vine growing up all around the piece and up on the wall there. And we'll pretty much cover that entire wall. Also, John Lawrence from Stone Northwest, who is involved with all the stone cutting and masonry work. Jim Schmidt, I don't know if Jim is here today, but Jim was a big part of the installation. And particularly my foundry that I work with is Artworks Foundry in Berkeley, California, who did, I think, just an incredible job on this piece. And I'm so proud of the work that they've done with me, and the various people that I work with in my studio in Brooklyn, New York. Last year, I came out here after they had chosen me to create this work, and I went to a Timbers game, and there I saw Timber Joey cutting one of these log rounds after the team had scored a goal. And frankly, that moment was the moment that really crystallized this piece for me. And I saw him cut that log round, and afterwards I went to Peggy and I said, I want one of these log rounds. Okay, and while I was there, somehow they got me a log round, and in fact, that log round became the model for this sculpture. We mocked it up 3 times the size, well, about 4 times the size of what it was there. So that really was that moment, and so I think that's the piece really is a lot about that kind of celebration that happens after a goal is scored.